People believe that if you put a chameleon on chessboard, it is going to hide by taking the same pattern or color. But this of course is not true, and videos on YouTube, experts say, some of which show the lizards changing colors as they encounter different surfaces or objects, are completely fake. Chameleons change their colors when they feel angry, afraid, or combative. For example, darker colors tend to mean a chameleon is angry. Lighter colors might be used to attract mates. Some chameleons also change their colors to help their bodies adjust to the changes in temperature or light. For example, a chameleon that gets cold might change to a darker color to absorb more heat and warm its body. Scientists believe that chameleons change their color by manipulating specialized cells called chromatophores that contain different color pigments. For example, when a chameleon wants to convey a particular mood or message, its brain sends a message to its chromatophores, which then move pigments around to change the chameleon's color. But later researchers found out that pigments are not the only mechanism chameleons use to change their colors. While pigments can account for warmer tones such as greens, they cannot explain brighter tones such as reds and yellows. Recent studies have shown that chameleons also have a layer of cells called iridophores under their skin. These cells, which contain pigment and reflect light, are made up of thousands of guanine crystals. Chameleons can relax or excite their skin, causing these cells to move and change structure. When this happens, these cells act like prisms, reflecting different wavelengths of light to create the variety of tones we see. The late Joseph Wilson was retired from the State Department when he was sent by the CIA on a fact-finding mission to the African country of Niger in 2002, which was also one of his first diplomatic postings in the 1970s. His job was to determine whether Iraq had purchased enriched yellow cake uranium from there. After 8 days in Niger, Wilson found no evidence that Iraq had obtained uranium, and he concluded that Iraq would not be able to make WMDs. But Bush said the opposite in his State of the Union address in January 2003.
The British government has learned that Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa.
Under that pretext, US military invaded Iraq in March, resulting in a war that dragged on for years and claimed thousands of lives. Bush administration disregarded his findings about the uranium and instead relied on second-hand intelligence that was later shown to be incorrect. In July 2003, Wilson wrote an op-ed column for New York Times, "What I Didn't Find in Africa," which raised questions on the credibility of the government regarding Iraq war. He found himself in the crosshairs of the Bush White House within days. Syndicated columnist Robert Novak wrote, "Wilson never worked for the CIA, but his wife, Valerie Plame, is an agency operative on weapons of mass destruction." Plame was forced to resign from the agency because her cover was blown. Over the next few years, she and Wilson often appeared in public to describe what really happened and how their lives turned upside down by what they considered an act of political revenge by the Bush administration. In 2006, Wilson and Plame filed suit against the Vice President, Richard B. Cheney, aka Dick Cheney, and Cheney's one-time Chief of Staff, Louis Libby, aka Scooter Libby, and others, charging that they had illegally disclosed Plame's identity to Novak. The suit was dismissed, but in 2007, Libby was convicted of perjury, obstruction of justice, and other charges. Bush commuted Libby's prison sentence, and President Donald Trump pardoned him in 2018. Seeking to shield their 2 children from the public glare, the couple moved to New Mexico, where both continued to live after their divorce. Wilson died on September 27, 2019, at his home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He was 69. Valerie Plame is currently a Democratic candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives.